Before the chaos, there was order. A golden age, ruled by the benevolent god, Osiris.
The Father ruled the afterlife, his reign made possible by his son's sacrifice. He was civilization, he was life, and he was loved by all. At his side stood Isis, the Great Mother, the seat of the throne itself, wisdom and magic intertwined.
But order breeds jealousy. In the shadows, a brother watched. Seth.
He plotted in darkness, crafting a betrayal forged in jealousy, a coffin fit for a god,
a gift for his brother, measured perfectly for his demise. The trap was set, masked as a celebration of excess. Into the lion's den walked the King of Life. He presented the gift, promising it to any god who fit perfectly inside. A perfect fit. The moment the trap was sprung, only wisdom saw the truth too late. Sealed in darkness, betrayed by his own blood. Rightful king was cast into the depths, his reign ended by shadow and steel.
And the land of Egypt was left without its king. And so, chaos ascended. Seth, the usurper, claimed the throne of his murdered brother.
The queen was left alone, a widow, a fugitive in her own kingdom.
But magic endures. Isis, driven by love, began her desperate search.
She found him, but the tragedy was far from over.
His rage was not satisfied. Seth returned, finding the body of his brother.
He scattered his brother across the land, ensuring Osiris could never be made whole. The ultimate desecration. But even in this, the darkest moment, love gave birth to resolve. She would not let him be forgotten.
Piece by painful piece, the sisters gathered what chaos had scattered.
But the final piece was lost to the river. So Isis, the great in magic, in a hidden temple, under the light of the moon, the two sisters began the impossible.
She spoke the ancient words of resurrection, calling her husband back from the darkness.
Life found a way. He was reborn, not as a king of the living, but as the first mummy. He was brought back, but he could no longer stay in the world of the living.
And in that final embrace, magic conceived what life could not.
His time in the living world was over. He descended to rule the dead, becoming...
Isis was now alone, carrying the last hope of Egypt, the heir of Osiris.
The queen became a fugitive, hunted by the new, cruel king.
Here, in the heart of the Delta, she would hide from the rage of Seth. But chaos has many eyes, and Seth's malice slithered even into that sacred hiding place.
Even in her weakest moment, her protective magic held back the darkness. And in that darkness, a new light was born. Horus, the Avenger.
He was Harpocrates, hiding in plain sight, by the very god who ruled the land.
Always. The magic of his mother was his shield.
She cried out to the heavens. A mother's rage, demanding that the creator, the cosmos, heard her cry.
Ra sent wisdom. Thoth, the great mediator, the healer, arrived to restore what chaos had undone.
Thoth, the knower of all things, recognized the mark. This was not mere venom.
He invoked the secret names, the words of power, fighting chaos with logic, darkness with knowledge.
It was a battle for the child's very soul.
Wisdom prevailed. The poison was banished.
Life returned. The air was saved.
The bond between mother and child, reforged. The war was far from over.
His work complete, knowledge returned to the heavens. The sun moved once more.
The years passed. The silent child learned to survive.
He was trained by magic and by necessity. He learned to hunt.
And he learned to fight. His mother taught him magic. His blood taught him rage.
The child was gone. The Avenger was born. The warrior emerged, ready for war. He emerged from the swamps, no longer a child, but an instrument of vengeance. A house of order had become a throne of chaos. The usurper ruled through fear and excess, believing his victory was absolute. But the age of chaos was about to be challenged. The son of Osiris, the rightful king, had returned. The ghost of his brother returned in the form of the sun.
He was his father's son, and he had come for the throne. Murderer, his heart screamed.
The god of chaos does not surrender a throne. You and your father will die. And so it began. The war for the throne of Egypt. A war that would last 80 years. The son had the will of his father, but Seth had the strength of the desert. Defeated, but not broken. His resolve only hardened. The war tore Egypt apart. Order against chaos. Nephew against uncle. The mother's heart could not bear to watch. Isis, in her love, intervened. A spear meant for chaos struck order. The wound was not deep, but the betrayal was. In his blind rage, he struck at his own mother, his protector. The war was consuming him. The war raged on the water, in the sky, and on the sand. Genja fought, but the god of the wasteland was in his element.
Days turned to months to decades. 80 years of brutal, unending war.
The land bled. The mortals suffered. Ma'at, order itself, was broken. Their power waned. The divine war degraded into a brutal, primal brawl. Horus, the warrior of order, hesitated. And chaos. No, the most brutal blow. The light of warrior of the sky was broken.
He did not just defeat his nephew. He sought to erase him, to shatter his very essence.
Darkness fell.
But chaos is not the only eternal force. Wisdom returned to heal the sky god.
Thoth, the master of knowledge, began to gather the shattered pieces of the moon. He gathered the 6 pieces, but the eye was not whole. So Thoth, with his own magic, completed it. The Wadjet, the eye of the moon. No longer broken.
He returned the eye, and with it, he returned Horus's power.
He was whole again. The eye of the sun, and the healed eye of the moon. He was healed. He was whole. But his power had won. He traveled to the gate of Duat, the realm of the dead. He had a gift for his father. The living god stepped into the land of shadows.
The realm of his father, a kingdom of silence, waiting for judgment.
And the king he sought, Osiris, lord of the afterlife, judge of the dead. The living met the dead. The son met the father. He kneeled, not as a warrior, but as a son. He offered his healed eye, not for vengeance, but for life. The eye of the living gave power to the king of the dead. Osiris was complete. The sun had brought light to the kingdom of the dead. The father's blessing was given. The son's duty was now clear. He returned to the world of the living. His purpose clear, his power. Oh, he returned, bearing the blessing of the dead and the power of the sky. The final clash, a blow so powerful it threatened to unmake creation itself. Enough! The voice of Ra.
The Ennead, the great council of the gods, was convened. The Creator decreed, this war would not be won by strength, but by law.
The battle of muscle became a battle of words. The trial of the gods began.
Seth argued with force. He claimed the throne by might, painting Horus as a weak, illegitimate child. Horus argued with truth. He claimed the throne by right, by blood, and by the laws of Ma'at. The gods were divided, might versus right. Even Ra himself favored the strength of Seth.
Law was failing. Strength was winning. So Isis, the mother of magic, decided to use wisdom.
The council adjourned, undecided. Seth, arrogant, believed his reign was secure.
So Isis laid a trap, not of magic, but of the mind. She became a different kind of weapon.
She waited for the god of chaos, appealing not to his non-existent honor, but to his arrogance.
He asked her story, his ego charmed by her distress. She spun her tale, a parable of injustice, a story of a son robbed of his inheritance by a cruel stranger. The hypocrisy was lost on him. Seth, the ultimate thief, was enraged by a simple theft.
He decreed it.
In his arrogance, he passed judgment upon himself.
The trap was sprung. You have judged yourself, Seth.
The gods had seen it all. The trap was perfect. Strength had been defeated by wisdom.
The words were recorded. The judgment was binding.
The Creator had heard enough. By his own words, Seth was found guilty. By his blood, Horus was found worthy. The son of Osiris was declared the rightful heir. The king of Egypt.
Chaos was judged. The usurper was undone.
The mother had saved her son. The wife had avenged her husband.
Chaos cannot be destroyed, only contained. Ra banished Seth to the desert to stand at the prow of Ra's boat and fight the serpent of chaos, Apep, for all eternity.
The land healed. The balance was restored. A new king would bring a new dawn.
The throne was his. The land was his.
The crown of the two lands, united, just as Horus had united the gods. The living pharaoh. The god on earth.
The son of the murdered king now took his father's place.
The tragedy of the Nile was over. The reign of Horus had begun.
And so, the legacy was forged. Every pharaoh who ruled would be Horus.
The father ruled the afterlife. His reign made possible by his son's sacrifice.
The mother, whose magic began the journey, now watched her son rule. Her wisdom had saved them all. I that was lost became the ultimate symbol of protection. The Wadjet, watching over all of Egypt.
And so, balance was found. Order ruled the land. And the tragedy of the Nile had ended. And from its sorrow, a new kingdom was born. The war was over. The vengeance was complete. But the cost was heavy. The wound could be healed, the throne reclaimed, but the act of betrayal. He carried the scar, not of defeat, but of healing. A reminder.
He now carried the power of the sun, the symbol of Ra, the burden of maintaining Ma'at, the silent child who carried the hope of the world and had become the king. The cycle was complete. The rage that fueled the war was now quieted.
From Harpocrates, the hidden, to Horus, the avenger, to Pharaoh, the protector.
From Harpocrates, the hidden, to Horus, the avenger, to Pharaoh, the protector, the journey was complete. Memory of the king, the child, the warrior, and the ruler, the three became one.
His rage was given a purpose: to protect order from a greater chaos.
The kingdom of the dead found its balance. The Father found his peace.
The architects of the victory. The magic that protected, and the wisdom that healed.
The Creator saw that Ma'at was restored. The sun could continue its journey.
The great council, their judgment rendered, returned to eternity.
The loyal sister.
Her
long vigil, finally over.
The story